Hello everyone, I'm Havoc and this is Satisfactory. We have been a little busy between episodes. Let's see, there's probably a couple of these available. It's not the 9th yet, but the 7th and the 8th day. There's 8. Ooh, quantum computers, interesting. And here's 7. Coal. I must have been naughty. Okay, getting lumps of coal for Christmas. So, in between episodes, I've done some work. Hello, thank you for my wonderful present just dropped from the sky by Fix It. I have cleaned up this area. I had machines over here everywhere, just taking up all the space possible. I cleaned all that up. I did let them run, let them craft a lot of items for me, and those items are now stored over here. This is a temporary solution because I have started working on a storage facility where things will be stored permanently for me to just go and grab what I need in order to do my crafting. But right now I have some things stored here and a little bit right over here. Just a few excess items just to make sure I have what I need on hand when I'm over here. And that allowed me to clean this area up. I did a whole lot of crafting in order to get those items. Well, I didn't do the crafting. I had machines down. I let them run for a while in order to get that set up because I don't have actual factories making a lot of the more intense items, the motors and such, computers, computer chips, circuit boards. So over here, you'll probably notice I've also done some work on the Fixmas event. I have 3 gift trees printing me gifts. And those just run over here into storage. This has been slowly dwindling down. I had a full storage set up over here, but I don't make as many gifts as I'm currently consuming in my little factory over here. And this is just to get a lot of the entry-level items. So I've got some storage over here of every item that's being processed with some signs. I've got red ornaments and blue ornaments. I probably have none of these stacked up because I've been turning all of them into the copper and iron. Ooh, hey, well, it's finally backed up, and that would be because this is not fast enough, which is perfectly fine with me. I've got loads of the copper ornaments as well as the iron ornaments right over here, just stockpiling up, which means I could make more gift trees if I really wanted to expand my little Christmas Fixmas factory over here. It's Fixmas. But I also have actual snow, not fake snow, actual snow being made, bows, candy canes, and tree branches, which I should have a lot of these, yes. And as you unlock things in the the Fixmas event tree in the it progresses the, what do you call this, decoration on your tree. I've got candy canes hanging on here now, which is great. I absolutely love it, and I have been greatly enjoying this little Fixmas event. I'm almost interested in if they have other events now. I'm curious, other than just the Fixmas event. Now, I bet I get a bunch of coupons for quantum computers, but I have 16. I don't really know. Oh, don't look over there yet. I don't know if I need 16 coupons. What, 3? Nothing else here. Nothing else here. Just going through some stuff. Yeah, I don't need 16. Looking at maybe 13 so far. And then there'll be things maybe later on that I could do. So what I'll do, instead of syncing these quantum computers, which seem pretty valuable, I'm going to place them over here. And I'm just going to delete the call. Oh, I should have sunk the call. Goodness gracious. But yes, let's take a look over here. So this is what I was working on in between videos. I've started my actual storage facility, and it's going to be right over here. I'm going for a 2-tiered design. So you've got the main walkway with a lot of the more simple ingredients that are going to be right down here. So your iron plate, your iron rods, screws, If you look over at the other side, you have wire, cable, copper sheets. And then if you look up top up here, I have reinforced iron plate, rotors, modular frames. All of these are set aside in order to hold those. I'll put, that just says shenanigans because I put the signs there and I haven't dedicated what that's going to be just yet. But I wanted to go for a really neat looking clean storage facility. So I'm using the tilted walls. White and black give off a very clean aesthetic feeling to them. So what I did here is I made sure that I used plenty of white and black. And this is a sign. This is a billboard, the small billboard. I used these painted beams, and if you place them right there, just inside the foundation. So you see the foundation actually ends right at the end of this painted beam. But if you go just inside one and raise it up all the way back in there, you'll see it's the perfect spot to place one of these billboards on the face of that. And so I was able to hide these small billboards mostly behind there, but it gives you this nice little small light fixture effect. Very similar to incandescent bulbs, the long incandescent bulbs that they used back in the day. I don't know if they still do that. Everything's probably LED nowadays, but halogen bulbs. That's what I'm thinking of. Halogen bulbs that are long and bright white, kind of hazy like that. That's the feeling that I wanted to go there. And these lights do come on at night, so I have everything wired underneath this foundation. We can drop down here and take a look. It just comes down. All of the wires are hidden out of the way, and I have a switch down here so I can modify them. I put the intensity to 34% and put it on night mode with this white because I don't want the lights to be overpowering in this area. I want them to look nice, but not make you strain your eyes. I already have those lights in there that are pretty bright. And how I did that is fairly simple. If you come in here to the billboard settings, I have the colors, everything's to black except for this one, and this one is most of the way down towards the black and at the 0.3 here. And the reason I have that is because I have the emission strength set to 2, which gives it that kind of glowing effect without being overpowering. And you can play around with this color here. And if you do something like that and save the settings, you'll see it's much brighter now. It's giving that, if I stare at it, my eyes start to strain a little bit. So I'm going to copy the settings and just paste them over to make it a little bit duller again, but still giving off the bright light. And my intention here is just to expand this out and have a nice little structure around it, and maybe even put the space elevator on top of this build, kind of centered on here. I don't know if the space elevator, it should be centered because it has a middle console you walk up to activate it. So it should be centered, and I can put it on top of here. I also am not really sure how many different items I'm going to need to store. I've never made it to the late game of Satisfactory. In fact, this is usually the point in which I would end up starting another game and playing something else when I used to play for myself. However, since I am making series for YouTube, I would like to make sure that when I make a series, there's lots of episodes in it. Because something that has always bothered me is if I'm watching somebody's series and I'm really enjoying it and they only make a handful of videos and then I'm just left wanting more. And I'm trying to not do that for you guys. I want to make sure I put good content out and I'm consistent and that I have a long-running series for people to enjoy. And speaking of that topic, if you're enjoying this video or my series, please like the videos. I really do appreciate that, guys. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to my channel so you'll get my videos plugged into your feed or get notifications of my new videos. I really do appreciate it. It helps me grow, and I thank you all for that. I know a lot of people say, why does every YouTuber say that? Well, I'll tell you this. Looking at my statistics, I get a lot of views for people that are not subscribed, and I have some people that are returning to my channel, returning viewers that are not subscribed. So you're watching multiple of my videos, why not go ahead and subscribe? So I'll just plug that in there, and that's all I'll say about it. Thank you if you do. I really do appreciate it. But let's get to working on this and see how I can get it to look. Okay, and this is what I have so far. I took out the lights on this bridge so you can approach the bridge and really take in the storage room that I've worked on here. This has been quite a lot of work. I redid several things a whole bunch of times. Really was not sure what I wanted to go with for the exterior, but I've settled on this so far. I absolutely love the way this is set up and looking now. And as you just come in, it's well lit. I used this coated concrete and oh my goodness, it looks amazing. Oh yes, I've used some variations in the wall type with things to break it up. So that steel beam, the metal beam, in order to break it up, the framework to give a little bit of structure and complexity to the design, because before it was mostly concrete and it didn't look too great. And so now with a little bit of complexity in, it looks much better. So also, I realized if you hold the cup, it really only covers the bottom part of the screen, which I don't look at a whole lot. So I like to keep my hands pretty much empty when I'm building and doing things because I want to see what's going on. And this is perfect for that. Just hold the little cup while you're going around doing what you need to do, and then you don't have to worry about things being in the way. And I can always just keep the mouse on here. But we'll come up here and take a look and see. It's not fully finished yet. There's still just a few things I've got to do to polish it off, but it is mostly done for right now. This section, I don't have anything actually running here yet, and as you saw, I did put the space elevator up on the top, and that's going to stay right where it is. I've got it centered and looking great up there, so I just need to get a way up there to access it. I don't have a way just yet. But you'll see I have all of these containers in here, and 3 containers fit centered on a 2 foundation gap. So right here I have a foundation to my left and a foundation to my right. If you center the main storage box and put one either side of it, it fits perfectly. But then if you go again and put that box up against this one, as you're going down, it gets off-centered and looks kind of awful. So what I did is I have every 2 foundations, I have a set of 3 containers here. That way it's very evenly done. And it just breaks it up. I have each section has 6, 3 on the bottom, 3 on the top, 6 containers. And then there's 4 sections per wall down there for each side of this room. So I have tons and tons of storage for lots of different items right in here that I'll be able to just run in and grab. And down at the end, I happen to get lucky, and this just ends right at the edge of the forest. And I didn't want to cut it down because I want this to feel like it's in the northern forest, not replacing the northern forest. So I have these nice big windows at the end. Oh, we're going to get a glimpse of sunrise. That's nice. I really wanted to make sure that I got this footage in at nighttime. That way you could see the lights in action, and this thing just looks amazing. Don't want to come back and look at it with the sun coming over there. It'll look horrible. Well, it would make you want to squint your eyes. Essentially, you're going to be looking into the sun. But you'll come up here. I haven't added the railings in yet. In fact, let's just go ahead and do that real fast. It's just the industrial railings all the way down. And the same thing on the other side. And that's just so you can't walk over into the containers. You're only here to access them, not to get over to where they are. That's not what I want. Did I put the other one on the wrong way? I want it to be facing the other way. You're not going to want to work with me, huh? Is there some way that I can get it to do what I want? I think I saw it there for a split second. Got it. Now I've got to go make sure I did the other one right, because I don't think I did. Just clean this up real fast because I want it facing... Yeah, see, these are actually all... Whoa! Gonna end up deconstructing everything if I'm not careful. I don't want them crowding this walkway. I want them facing the other way in. So every one of these are backwards. Now the question is, how am I going to get that specific spot over here? I had it over there from where I had a foundation and then removed it. I may have to do that. So it's real simple. You take these two out, then you come in, put you a foundation in like so, come back to your railing, and now it's facing the other way. Obviously, we don't want that foundation. We want T crosswalks lined up with this one. And now we can go back to putting our railing in the way we wanted it. Hopefully. Yeah, perfect. But in between the little gaps, what I was talking about a moment ago, and I separated these into 3 different sections, I'm just using pillars because there was a decent sized gap in between these two that you could see through. You can barely see in between foundations. How interesting. Sure enough, these metal type foundations, there's a little tiny gap in between them. I just happened to notice. I've got to go back in and set up the backside and make it look all pretty, but this is the point in which I'm going to leave this for right now. I've got it very nice looking. I like the aesthetic style, and I'm going to go with this and expand it. I need to start hooking up some things, the production lines to it, and then hide those belt lines. The access to the underside will be right around there, and I'll have a doorway in so you can get to all the belt work and the power switch for the lights. But I realize while I'm doing that, I've done a few things here and there. I've redone the smelting floor in here because we have access to 480 ore per minute. So instead of having screws made right down here, I simply remove the screw room from this floor, and I have this floor is nothing but smelting. And you'll see I have enough smelters to do 480 per minute down here. And all of that just combines and goes outside right here. It combines and goes upstairs. And I haven't done anything with it yet, but that's 480 iron ingots per minute coming up here. And then I can essentially have a floor that does each of the different things. I'm probably going to do rod, screws, and so on and so forth independently on a floor. And I'm going to go with an overflow method. So I'm going to send everything first to storage using a smart splitter. And then after storage fills up, it will continue up the production lines in this building as it grows to make each of our individual items. But this was not the big project that I worked on while I was bumping between things. I have completed a facility where we process fuel in order to make packaged fuel, because it's something I want to make progress towards getting the trucks up and running every episode, and I really wanted to go back there and not spend this whole time messing around with a truck station, or excuse me, a storage warehouse, which is important, but I wanted to get some progress done. So let's go take a look at that. And here we have it. So I've clocked that oil extractor there all the way up. We're getting the 600 crude oil per minute out, and you can't see through this tree, but there's a pump down there that is pumping it up to our industrial buffer we now have unlocked. This is coming down to this first set of 6 refineries. Because we are siphoning the 240 off to the oil rig setup, we only have an excess of 360. That 360 comes over here to our oil extractors and is broken down here into fuel and into, what is the product called? Is it let's see. It's a part polymer resin. This is it right here. So this polymer resin comes out. You get 30 per minute from each of these. That polymer resin is then going to another set of refineries. Let's go take a look at those. You come right up through here. I added in some nice walkways that go over it so you can reach every machine. I have a little working area right down in here with a little bit of everything you would need to craft any additional components. This is the buffer of fuel. right here. This comes from the original 6 that's cracking the crude oil into fuel and the polymer resin. Polymer resin all comes along this line up to here and then is split to these 3 different refineries right here. Each of these are taking the polymer resin and combining it with water to make plastic. Now, we had 180 polymer resin coming out. All of that is split between the 3 of these at 60 apiece, but that only gives us 60 plastic per minute. And if you look over here, these are making 40 fuel per minute. Times 6, that's giving us 240 fuel per minute. And that is an interesting little ratio for what I have this set up for. So all of the plastic, which is 60 per minute, runs up to this little level here. I thought I would make good use of the floor plan I already had down here and put these vertically above the the resource sink here. This resource sink is only to get any excess polymer resin that comes down the line. Each of these are smart splitters that split off to the refineries first, and then any overflow comes down the line. So the first one will fill up absolutely full, the second one gets whatever's left over, and then the third one gets the last bit, and nothing should be going to the sink if everything is running according to plan. Nobody saw that, right? I guess I need to check the that splitter there. It might be that we're backed up everywhere. No, that is exactly what it is. So the reason that's happening is because all the plastic comes up here at 60 per minute. I have 2 of these doing 30 per minute, taking the plastic in, and then making 60 per minute a piece in empty canisters. So we're getting 120 empty canisters per minute. Those canisters simply go down the line here over to our packagers, and we'll just hop down here, and you'll see each of these takes 40 per minute fuel and 40 per minute canisters. I'm making 120 canisters per minute, which means 3 of these is enough to supply that. Now that only uses 120 fuel per minute, so the other 120 fuel per minute that is overflow has to go somewhere. Well, that overflow comes down past each of our packagers over to this little section. I'm just walking on the pipe for convenience. And this is where I have 10 fuel generators. Each fuel generator consumes 12 fuel per minute, so 10 of these is going to consume 120 fuel per minute, which is the excess that's left over when this is running. Now, the only problem with this whole setup that I have is after I back this log up right here, so if I come in here, all of these are full of packaged fuel. We will set up a truck stop somewhere in this area that will load these up so that we can then transport this fuel to all of our trucking stations anywhere around the map that we go. But when this backs up, this is not consuming the 120 fuel per minute that it should, and neither is it consuming the plastic or the polymer resin. So that's why I included the sink as the overflow for the polymer resin. That way, if this backs up, it never becomes a problem where it's not functioning. These will only function at the amount of fuel that I'm consuming right now. I considered adding additional fuel generators on. That way, when I am not consuming the packaged fuel, I have excess fuel production. I could essentially make 240 fuel per minute right here and burn every bit of that in fuel generators, because the extra polymer resin that would be produced would just go into the sink, and this section of this build wouldn't function at all. It wouldn't make any more fuel until I need it. But I'm not sure if later on when I'm using the packaged fuel, if that's a good idea, because right now I'm hoping the way this works is simply that because these are the closest to the source, the packagers, that they will get the priority on any fuel that's produced. And I think that's how that works. However, I'm not certain. So I don't want to add on extra fuel generators until I have some time to play around with it and see. That and the fact that when I first start this up and actually start consuming this fuel, I'm going to be taking large amounts of the packaged fuel to offload in other areas, right? Because it's going to fill up a truck stop here, but then trucks are going to come load all the way up and take that to another station and have to unload there, and that's going to empty, and then it'll come back, get a second load, and it may not be able to empty that load, so that's where it'll stop, sort of, which means that I will have to build up the initial buffer at each of the stops, and I'm going to be consuming a lot of packaged fuel at each of those. And I would rather have all the packaged fuel that I want than I have. So I would have a surplus of fuel here ready for that, rather than not have a surplus of fuel built up over here and it all have been consumed by fuel generators in the meantime. So that's why I set this up this way. Well, that's a nice little animation. Honestly, have not been paying that close attention to the builds, not to the individual structures, to the overall build itself. I have lights here, I've powered everything. I did go ahead and put down this oil extractor right here so that I could line everything up, and I'm not using this yet, but it's here. I've made sure this walkway goes over where the pipes are going to be, and then I have one more oil node right there ready for me to plop another one down for when I need more oil products. And if I find myself in need of specifically more plastic or rubber itself, I can build a dedicated build that will use crude oil from these two extractors in order to process those items if our oil rig ends up being insufficient. But this took quite a lot of time, quite a lot of thought and effort. I used a similar style to the oil rig, but slightly different in that it is built primarily ground level or close to ground level, and I used less framing over here where it's close to the ground to make up for that. And I think it looks great. But that's going to be it for today's episode. If you enjoyed it, feel free to hit the like button. I do appreciate that. And if you're enjoying my content and you are not already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. I appreciate that, and it'll make sure that you see my new videos when they come out. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.